Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com with a quick video review of Marvel 616. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. So this coming Friday on November the 20th, Disney will be releasing a brand new documentary series called Marvel 616. There are 8 different episodes. They're about an hour long each. Some are a little bit longer, some are a little bit shorter, and they cover a number of different topics. So there's 8 different topics. Some of them are about like toys and merchandise, something that I'm really excited about. And there's also one about the Japanese Spider-Man TV series. There's also one about how they make comics. There's one about cosplay. One is about a load of high school students putting on plays of Marvel shows. There's a real kind of weird amount of different stuff going on, and it kind of makes the show very interesting, but it also makes it a little bit harder to pinpoint exactly what you might like about it. Now, I personally watched 6 of the 8 episodes, and there was one of the 8 that I didn't get to see, which is called Unboxing, which is all about merchandise. So that's the one I'm going to be watching this Friday, because I'm really interested to see how all that works, because I love things from Hasbro and Funko. So that's one that personally appeals to me. So let's jump into some of the different episodes. So first off, we've got the Japanese Spider-Man episode, which was kind of one of my favorite ones. I really didn't know anything about this in advance. It's about an hour long, and it goes into some real detail about the show. We get to see how it sort of inspired them actually making Transformers, the actual toys that they had, because he had some really weird robots, like this big Sphinx head and a big robot, because basically they took kind of what Spider-Man was and took away all the villains and turned it into something completely unique for Japan. We also got to see how it maybe inspired the Power Rangers series. An episode I wasn't so keen on was one where they were focusing on putting on some plays at high school of Squirrel Girl and also Miss Marvel. Very much focused on how the stories kind of connect with high school kids and show them all kind of going through learning their lines and all of this stuff. Personally, kind of felt a bit more like an episode of Encore or a spin-off of that, and kind of, yeah, just didn't fully connect with me. I got a little bit bored of that one. About halfway through, I did start kind of speeding forward to the end just to kind of catch up. Another episode I really enjoyed was all about learning about the Marvel writing system, which they have. They don't tend to use it so much anymore, but it's what Stan Lee used to use, where a writer comes up with a story and then the artist kind of does stuff. Very weird little story. How they filmed it, very different than the other episodes. There was also an episode on cosplay, which I thought was very interesting. They went into some real depth. It wasn't just a fluffy 10-minute piece, it was an hour showing you how they come up with the costumes and interviewing different people. Loads of footage from the New York Comic Con, and I think for fans that love doing cosplaying, love going to those events, you're really going to get something out of it. My favourite episode was one called Lost and Found, where they were, it was completely different than anything else. The guy that was making it is a comedian, and it was could have been stood out on its own. It didn't even have to be part of this Marvel 616 series. And he's trying to pitch the idea of a new Marvel series to the Disney Plus executives. And he goes off and finds out about it, comes up with some different ideas, comes up with some like 2 minutes of footage. It's really interesting. If you ain't going to watch anything else, watch that one, because it kind of could have stood out as its own special. It was completely separate from the rest of Marvel 616. And I think that's kind of the one thing with this series that you should check out, is everything is different. If you don't like one episode, try another one out. Go through the descriptions, see which ones appeal, and watch them. If you get a little bit bored, maybe jump out or fast forward. They are very in-depth. It's not your typical fluffy piece, which I did like. I did like the idea that they were talking to adults and it wasn't just a fluff piece for Marvel. They really kind of went into it, and I really like that whole aspect of this series. I do wish that they had dropped them week to week, because on that way it would have given them all a little bit more time and it could have brought more people in. But on the other side, I can see how it's much more binge friendly to see them there, and then you can cherry pick which one you want, because I wouldn't recommend watching all of them back to back, because it's maybe about 8 to 9 hours worth of documentary, and yes, probably a little bit too much. I mean, I watched them over space over a week. Yeah, I think a slow pace would be better for this one, because it's a little bit overwhelming, because sometimes a little bit slow. One of the episodes was all about woman empowerment and kind of what's been going on at Marvel, all the different writers showing off the artists and kind of the creation of Captain Marvel and also Miss Marvel. I think Marvel 616 is a fantastic documentary, that each episode stands out on its own with a very unique style, and it's very different than the rest of the series. The one thing to be noted, if you are only really interested in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a lot of this might be lost on you, because it's more about Marvel as a whole and about the different aspects to it, and the characters and toys and how it all comes together, rather than just focusing on the movies. So definitely for Marvel hardcore fans, I definitely recommend checking out. You know, compared to some of the other Marvel shows we've seen recently, this one's far superior, and I can see why, and there's a lot of excitement for this one, so I definitely would recommend checking it out. I personally gave it 4 out of 5. I think it's well worth your time, but yeah, like I said, definitely cherry pick which episodes you like, and then maybe go back in a second dip and pick out the ones you then, and then maybe if you like the ones you've seen so far, then do the whole season. But don't just go 1 through 8, because I don't know if that, you might get a little bit lost in doing it. I know I did. But nevertheless, let me know in the comments below if you are excited about Marvel 616. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.